Last month, a coach with no following walked off a corporate stage with a $60,000 check in his pocket. Manufacturers conference, under 1,000 LinkedIn followers, no podcast, no book deal. And while he was doing that, 3 big name speakers were getting their contracts pulled by the same kind of companies that had been booking them for a decade. That's not a fluke. That's the new normal. Right now, while most coaches are chasing followers, building lists, and trying to land a podcast, a small group is quietly walking off corporate stages with bigger checks than the people they're replacing. They have no fame, no huge audience, and event planners can't book them fast enough. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the 3 ways they're doing it. I'll show you the Freeman study that broke the celebrity speaker model. And I'll show you the one thing every one of these coaches has in common and why your window to do this might be shorter than you think. So here's what changed. A research firm called Freeman handles events for a lot of the big companies in the country. They asked over 5,000 conference attendees what they actually want from a keynote. Guess how many said they wanted a celebrity? 1 in 100. That was it. Now, what they did want was different. About 4 in 10 said they wanted new ways of thinking. Almost as many said they wanted real working industry experts. Freeman's head of research put it bluntly. People want an expert, not an Olympic skier. And it wasn't just the speaker that changed. It was the whole format. A booking firm called JLA tracked something they call interactive sessions. In 2018, they booked 23 of them. By 2024, over 200. That's 8 times more in just 6 years. The hour-long lecture is on its way out and the real conversation is on its way in. Now, you might be thinking, great, people want experts. I'm an expert. I'll get my piece. But here's the part nobody's telling you. The same shift that killed the celebrity speaker is also leaving most experts behind. Here's the math. Almost half of corporate events now spend less than $10,000 per keynote. That's a long way down from the $50,000 and $100,000 deals you used to hear about. So you'd think the market got smaller. It didn't. Analysts have the speaking market hitting $2.6 billion by 2030. The money didn't leave, it moved. And it moved away from the names you know to people you've never heard of. This is what I call the following myth. The idea that you have to have a big audience, a podcast, a list, a personal brand before anyone will hire you to speak. It sounds true. It isn't. And it's the reason a lot of good coaches are sitting on the bench. I had a client named Chris, corporate trainer. He built a real business, sold it, and started speaking full time. He was good, local reputation, had paying gigs, the works. Then 2 conferences pulled his contracts in the same week. Both told him the same thing. They were going in a different direction. Chris thought it was the pitch. It wasn't. It was something he didn't have yet. I'll come back to him. So, how are coaches with no following getting these stages? 3 ways, 3 lanes. Pick the one that fits you and stay in it. Way number 1, the specific problem solver. This isn't a leadership coach. It's the coach who cuts employee turnover by 40% in 90 days. It isn't a sales trainer. It's the one whose clients raise close rates by 23%. Hear the difference? One sounds like a job. The other sounds like a result. A firm called K&A Insights tracks this. 68% of the speaking market now goes to industry-specific experts. The generalist is getting passed over. Way number 2, the interactive facilitator. Remember that 8 times growth I mentioned a minute ago? That's this lane. These coaches don't talk at people for an hour. They run the room, live exercises, small group work, real conversations. The audience leaves with something they did, not something they heard. Way 3, the trust builder. This is the lane most coaches miss completely. A group called Influencer Marketing Hub looked at how much an audience actually engages with a person's posts. Big difference based on size. Coaches with under 10,000 followers got 7% of their audience engaging. Celebrities with over 100,000 followers, under 2%. The smaller the audience, the more they trust the person. Event planners figured this out a few years ago. So now when they're choosing between a famous name and a small following expert who actually has the room's trust. Event planners figured this out a few years ago. So now when they're choosing between a famous name and a small following expert who actually has the room's trust, they're picking the expert every time. 3 lanes, pick one and own it. Here's the whole video in 1 line. Stop being a coach, start being the answer to one specific problem. So back to Chris. After the second cancellation, he sat in his office for an hour and didn't move. 2 contracts, same week, both pulled before he ever took the stage. Then he made a decision. He stopped trying to be a great speaker, and he started being the answer to one problem. He picked his lane, leadership and culture. He got narrow. He picked his number, 40% less turnover in 90 days. Then he did the one thing that made event planners actually listen. He wrote a short book, 150 pages, his system on paper. 6 months later, he had doubled his fees. Nobody pushed back. Coca-Cola hired him for their annual leadership conference. He told me something I haven't forgotten. He said, "Steve, for the first time in years, I don't feel invisible." So why did one short book change everything? Because event planners need a way to check you. They can't read your mind. They can't sit in on your client calls. They need proof that you can hold a room and proof you've thought hard about one thing. A book hands them both at once. Here's where most coaches have it backwards. They think you need fame to get booked. You don't. You need a real asset, something the planner can hold in her hand, share with her boss, and say, this is the person. The coaches with no following aren't winning because they got lucky. They're winning because they have something solid. And the something is almost always a book, not a 400-page memoir, a short, focused, problem-solving book that proves you've gone deeper on one question than anyone else in the room. This is what flips the dynamic. You stop chasing stages and the stages start finding you. Now, once Chris had the book, something else started happening that he didn't see coming. He didn't have to ask for referrals anymore. His clients started doing it for him, passing the book around, sharing his framework, dropping his name in places that he'd never have gotten in on his own. That's the part most coaches miss. The book doesn't just open the door, it makes every door after that easier to open. And that's why I pulled this next video out for you here. It walks you through exactly how Chris turned one short book into a steady flow of corporate clients who came to him. Have a look. If it fits you, you'll know, and see you next time.